You ever feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to, but you're still just totally drained? Disconnected even? Well, it turns out there might be a deep, ancient reason for that. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea called the Ouroboros framework. It helps explain this very modern struggle and, just maybe, offers a path back to feeling whole again.
I mean, it's a feeling a lot of us can relate to, right? The sense that our bodies, our instincts, our very brains were built for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. That feeling of being out of sync. It's not just in your head. It's a real, deep, systemic problem at the very heart of modern life.
So, to really get a handle on this problem, we need to look back at our ancient blueprint. And there's this incredible metaphor that captures it perfectly, the serpent's loop. Now, the Ouroboros, that's the ideal. It's a perfectly closed loop, a beautiful cycle where our biology and our world are in complete harmony, constantly feeding back into each other, regenerating. But, and this is the big but, in our modern world, that perfect cycle is breaking down. And here is the core of the issue. Our biology, our actual DNA, it changes on a geological timescale over millennia. Its only goal is long-term survival. But our technology, our culture, man, that changes at a dizzying speed. We're talking years, days, even seconds, all chasing short-term goals. The two are just not in sync.
The result is that the serpent is now eating itself faster than it can grow back. This broken loop has a name: evolutionary mismatch. We're living in a state of what's called hyper-novelty, an environment so new, so fast, that our ancient biological hardware just can't run the software anymore.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But what does this broken loop actually feel like in our daily lives? Well, the evidence is pretty much everywhere you look, especially when it comes to our food and our sleep. Let's just take diet, for example. Our bodies are wired for a world where calories were scarce and took a ton of effort to get. Now we live in a world of insane abundance. It's created this paradox of abundance where we're somehow overfed but still undernourished. Our ancient signals that tell us we're full, they're totally broken, because modern food, with its crazy omega ratios and low nutrient value, isn't sending the messages our bodies evolved to understand.
And it's not just what we eat. We've also completely severed our connection to the planet's natural cycle of light and dark. You know, the constant glow from our phones, our TVs, our cities, it's like a false sun. It tricks our brains into thinking it's always daytime, which seriously messes up all the crucial repair work that's supposed to happen when we sleep.
So what can we do? Well, we basically have to become manual operators for our own biology. We have to intentionally recreate the signals our bodies are crying out for. Getting some real sunlight in the morning helps set your internal clock. Killing the bright screens after sunset tells your brain, okay, night is actually here. And having a simple wind-down routine, it's like building your own little digital campfire, signaling to your body that it's safe to rest. Now, this mismatch isn't just physical. It goes deeper. It's creating these really weird glitches in our social code, in the fundamental ways we connect with each other.
Just think about it. The ancestral campfire, that was all about building trust, creating a shared story, face-to-face with a small group of people. Now look at our digital campfire, social media. Its goal isn't unity, its goal is engagement. And you know what drives engagement? Outrage. It operates at a massive global scale with really low-quality communication, and the result, so often, is division, not connection.
And here's another one of those social glitches, the trap of safetyism. Here's the thing about humans. We are anti-fragile. That means we don't just survive stress, we actually need it to get stronger. It's like a muscle or your immune system. So when we try to shield our kids from every possible risk, we might actually be preventing them from developing the very resilience they need to handle the real world. Okay, so if our world is just riddled with these mismatches, how do we even begin to find our way back? Well, it starts by looking for the ancient user manual, the deep, encoded wisdom that can help us finally mend that broken loop. This brings us to something called the Omega Principle. It's this fantastic idea that culture, when it's working right, is like adaptive software for our biological hardware. All those deep-seated traditions, from how we prepare food to our social norms, they aren't just random. They're often time-tested survival strategies, passed down for a reason. They worked. Which leads us straight to this powerful mental model, known as Chesterton's fence. It's a pretty simple rule of thumb. Before you go tearing down some old fence, you should probably figure out why someone bothered to build it in the first place. Chances are it was serving a really important purpose that you just can't see yet.
Now, applying this idea, the source takes a look at an institution like monogamy. It frames it not just as some old-fashioned moral rule, but as a kind of evolved social technology, a fence, if you will. It's described as a systemic stabilizer, a truce, designed to balance the very different reproductive strategies of men and women, which ultimately leads to more stable families and communities.
So, where does this all leave us? What's the takeaway? Well, the final step is to put all these tools together to become, well, a conscious Ouroboros. It's about learning to navigate this incredibly novel modern world with intention.
Look, we've kind of run out of new lands to explore and endless resources to dig up. The source argues that the next great frontier, what it calls the fourth frontier, isn't somewhere out there, it's in here. It's about a massive shift in mindset, from endless, reckless growth to a conscious, sustainable balance with our world and with ourselves.
And there's a 3-step game plan for this. Step 1. Admit mismatch. We have to accept that our Stone Age gut feelings can, and often do, lead us astray in this modern world. Step 2. Apply precaution. We should treat new, powerful technologies as potentially dangerous until they're proven to be safe. And Step 3. Seek truth. We've got to ground our culture in the hard realities of biology and physics, not just in what we wish were true.
And so, that leaves us with this one, final, absolutely huge question. We are the first species in the history of the planet with the power to so radically change our own environment. The challenge of our time is to see if we have the wisdom to match that power. Can we learn to consciously guide our own path forward, to become that conscious Ouroboros, and finally mend the broken loop?